Hello my lovelies and welcome back for another video. My name is Ezgi and I'm currently training to be a GP. If you're new to my channel, I have videos on life as a junior doctor, life through medical school, and just motherhood really since I've become a mum of one, soon to be two. Sorry that I still sound a bit congested. I'm recovering from a different illness now. I feel like I've been unwell for ages and ages at this point, but this is what happens when you share a house with a toddler, and I just have to wait for the warmer weather for things to get better. Anyway, so I'm here with my coffee, with my new mug, which I'm loving, and still trying to break into my Dr. Martens. I feel like at this point they've broken into my foot and I'm just going to have to accept the new shape that they've taken. But anyways, coming to the topic of today's video, so I don't talk about finances and money a lot here. I do get asked a lot of questions about how much I earn, how we went on to buy our first home with my husband, and those are things that I'm definitely open to talk about, but it's just I don't really know what to say really. So if you have any specific questions, then let me know in the comments below. But basically today I'm going to talk to you about how much I pay on a yearly basis to be able to practice as a doctor. So there's lots of fees involved in keeping up with your license, with your college fees, with your exams and so on. And I don't feel like these things are talked very much. We talk about, you know, our salary and how it's not enough for the job that we actually do, especially compared to how much our colleagues were being paid sort of 10 years ago, and just looking at the equivalents and so on. But that's a topic for a whole other video. Today I'm going to talk to you about exactly how much I spend in a year to keep up with my license and my practice and so on to work as a doctor in the UK. So the first fee that comes into mind when you think about working as a doctor is the fee that you pay towards your license. So once you finish medical school, you are registered on the GMC register, which is the General Medical Council. And essentially you can't practice as a doctor in the UK without being registered on this register. Now, for the first 5 years from when you graduate from medical school, you get a discounted price to be on this register. And so for me, what I've been paying up until now, because it's my 5th year, is £157. Now, this is as of next year, which will be my 6th year, will go up to £390. So I'm trying to enjoy the lower and discounted fee for this year as much as I can. And you might be thinking, what does this fee go towards? And I've had a look at the GMC website to see what they use this fee, and they've got this chart, which is basically a summary of things like revalidation, where every so often, I think it's every 5 years, once you've actually completed your training program. So say for example, you are in hospital and you are now a consultant cardiologist, you don't just get given that title and let off and, you know, and never sort of asked any questions about your practice again. You have to do what is called revalidation, and I think that's every 5 years. If I'm wrong, I'll pop it in the description below or on the screen here. But basically you have to prove that you're still, you know, attending learning events and analysing your practice and listening to feedback and working well with your colleagues and so on. It's basically just to keep an eye on you and to make sure that you're continuing to be the best doctor that you can be. And there's also other things such as dealing with complaints, so that's a big chunk, which was quite scary to see actually. And then a few other things such as educational purposes and just generally obviously paying for the people who work for the GMC. Now, once you've paid your GMC fees, so that happens once a year, you will then probably pay towards your college fees. So depending on what training program you're in, so for me, I'm training to be a GP, so I am currently signed up with the Royal College of General Practitioners. Now, if you're training to be a paediatrician, you'll be with the Royal College of Paediatrics or Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology and so on. And basically they are a organisation that oversee your training, give you learning opportunities. And for me, what it means basically is that it allows me to access my portfolio. And the portfolio is a platform, it's an electronic platform where you have all the competencies that you need to complete throughout that particular year or your training program, and you write up cases, you basically have people observe your consultation skills and your examination skills and basically sign you off to say that this doctor is able to perform this examination without anyone present, and they basically sign you off. And basically it's just a platform that shows you all your competencies, and you use it at your panel at the end of the year, which is called the ARCP. They sit down and review you, look at what you've done throughout the year, throughout your training, and look at all the exams that you've passed and all the things that you've done and projects that you've completed and so on, and basically allow you to progress onto the second, third, fourth and fifth years. So for this privilege, I am paying the Royal College of General Practice £207. Now for me, that is a discounted fee because part of this year I was on maternity leave, then part of the year I was on less than full time. So the actual true payment that trainees pay is £273, and this goes up to I think 400, 500 plus once you actually qualify to be a GP, and there is a lot of controversy around it. There are lots of qualified GPs who are deciding that they don't want to continue with their membership with the Royal College and they want to just continue using the portfolio for appraisal and revalidation purposes. And to be honest, when I had a look at the Royal College website, there wasn't like a clear chart type thing like the GMC had on exactly how they spend our money, but just through personal experience I know that they provide lots of courses, lots of e-learning modules online, and they obviously provide you with the portfolio access, and also when there are sort of policies that are being made, or if they want to consult the GPs that are working, then going to the Royal College and asking the Royal College members is one of the easiest and quickest routes on how to do this. So it's kind of like being signed up to be part of a group that if anything comes up you can sort of have a say. So those are the two set fees that I'm paying every year, and the next few things I'm going to tell you about kind of change on a year-to-year basis depending on what stage of training you're at. So for me this year, in my second year of GP training, I had to do an exam called the AKT, which is the Applied Knowledge Test, and you have to complete it before you finish training, and the earliest you can do it is during your second year of training. And since I was back from maternity leave, I wasn't in my final year where I had to have other exams to look forward to. No, I'm not looking forward to. And also I was on psychiatry, which was a lot of like a slower work pace. I thought I'd take this opportunity to prepare and sit my AKT, and I was very, very happy that everything went well, and you know, I passed, and I've got a video all about that I can link below as well. But essentially the amount of money that I paid for this exam was £459, which being less than full time at the time, so obviously my income took a hit. Seeing that money come out of my account, and obviously it's an exam so you can potentially fail as with every exam, it was kind of like nerve-wracking, but anyways, all went well and I passed, so money well spent, I think. We'll see. But the exam that I've got coming up next year is basically my final exam as part of GP training, and there's probably going to be a bit of a change, so there's no point me detailing the exact exam right now, but it's basically based on recording your telephone consultations and video consultations and submitting them to be reviewed by a panel. And to be able to sit this exam, just for the panel to actually review the recordings that you've done, you have to pay £1,050. And this is besides the fee that you have to pay the platform to give you credit to actually record these telephone consults and video consults. So it's quite sad really, and I don't want to think about it just yet because I've got maternity leave and then the final year of GP training to go through before I have to think about that. And going along with, you know, preparing for exams, obviously you don't have to, but you know, lots of people do benefit from signing up to question banks and attending courses to prepare for these exams. Now, I didn't attend a course, I did question banks at home and kind of read the guidance and the guidelines out there and kind of did it myself. And so for this, I kind of got away with not being able to pay too much. And the only thing I paid for was the past medicine question bank, which was £40. So to go back also, as part of my RCGP, Royal College of General Practitioners payment that I did, I was given access to a question bank on there as well, which was called the self-test, which also helped me loads in preparing for the AKT. Now, once you've paid for your license and your Royal College fees and, you know, any exams and the courses and everything, other things that you need to consider are things like indemnity. So these are things like if anything goes wrong with your practice and a patient or colleague or trust or whatever it is that comes to harm, and there's a complaint, there's an investigation, there's an inquiry that goes in, usually via the trust and the GMC, then you need some sort of indemnity cover to help you with legal fees, representation, and that kind of stuff. As a trainee, we pay very low rates, and actually from this year onwards, our training program has signed up with a company that gives us free access to indemnity cover. I don't think it's free because, like, for GP trainees, I think it's just that our training program pays for it. But whilst I was in F1 FY2 and then the first 2 years of my training program before things went for free, I was paying around £40 a year, which isn't too bad, but I know that that cost goes up a lot once you actually qualify and pay for it completely yourself. Now, those are the set fees that I've paid this year that I can't get away with because, you know, one, I can't not pay them if I don't want to practice, and two, because they're about my competencies and exams that I have to do as part of my progression, otherwise I can't progress. But the next few things are optional, and for me one of those was signing up to the BMA. So BMA is the British Medical Association, and it's basically kind of like a union, but they provide you with lots of employment support and advice. They give you access to sort of e-learning modules, they give you access to sort of articles, and it's basically kind of like a one-stop place for anything medicine related, and they're there to support doctors, which is really nice. So I've had to be involved with them a couple of times because I've had payment issues from work, or just a mix up with admin and payroll, and it was just taking forever, and I had to get the BMA involved, for example, and other sorts of advice. So sending them my work contract to make sure that it's compliant with my less than full-time rota, etc. So they've helped me in that sense, and I'm paying them I think it's like £20-something a month, but essentially over the year it equates to about £274, which, now thinking about it, is quite a bit of money. I need to reconsider my BMA membership, but anyways, they've been great whilst I've had them, but obviously going forward with like maternity leave and stuff, I have to really think about these expenses. And then the stethoscope that I've had is one that I've had since about 4th year of medical school. So given that I've been qualified for 5 years, 2 years from there, I've had it for 7 years, and it's starting to show because the earpieces are getting a bit crumpled and it just looks a bit mangled. So I need to update some of the equipment that I'm using in my practice, and one of the main things that we do is to have a stethoscope. Often the other things like blood pressure monitors and tympanics and those kind of things can be provided to you at work, but just in case you want to have your own, especially when you're going on home visits and changing practices, you have to basically pay for that out of your own pocket. So there is one that I want to buy, which is the Littman Cardiology 4, I think it is, which is kind of like a one model up from the one that I have with the really basic model that I have, and it's roughly about £170. And yeah, you just have to pay that yourself. And I can't go without saying my student loan and how much it has cost me to get to this point in my career, through medical school fees and, you know, maintenance loans through traveling and like traveling to uni and like books and that kind of stuff, and I'm still paying that, and I think I'll probably be paying that for another 25 years at least. But the really sad thing is that the amount that it's being cut from my salary every month doesn't even cover interest that is applied to my loan. So despite the fact that I've been paying every month into my student loan, I have actually accumulated more debt, and I'm not in the position at the moment where I can kind of put in a lump sum and just close that because of other sort of financial commitments that we have. So whenever I get my student loan statement once a year and I actually see that no matter how much I paid through the standard amount that's withdrawn from my salary, I'm still accumulating debt, it really stresses me out. And I do go through this phase where I'm like, oh, shall I just, you know, close off the debt? Shall I just put my savings in there because it just stresses me out? I kind of rethink, I read around the topic, and I'm basically told no, just let it kind of continue and accumulate. And I'll probably get to a point where at the end of the term of my student loan, which I think is 30 years, I probably wouldn't have even touched the main money. But yeah, I don't want to think that far. But anyways, I'm paying £176 a month from my salary. So that gets cut automatically from my payslip, and I don't even see that before I get my final sum in my bank account. So I've just done a rough calculation of how much I've paid this year just towards my Royal College fees, my GMC fees, my exam and the course, like the question bank that I use, and I have paid £929.40. Now that's excluding, sorry, my BMA membership. So add the BMA in there, which is 274.2. And then the stethoscope that I'm going to buy is £170, which is an upcoming cost, is £1,373.60. And that is still excluding the £2,112 a year that I'm paying towards my student loan. That is not even covering my student loan. Anyways, and other things I just haven't kind of discussed is obviously the childcare costs that I incur as a result of being a working mum, but that is a whole different video. I hope that has given you some insight into the profession a bit better. You know, we always talk about the income, but we don't really talk about the expenses that the job has as well. I wanted to add here though that you do get some tax relief on some of these sort of payments. So the Royal College fees, the GMC fees, and I think on your exam as well, you get sort of the tax returns, but considering how much you're paying, that tax return doesn't equate to very much, unfortunately, but it's still something that I'm grateful for, so thank you. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more finance related videos, then all you need to do is give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I do lots of content about being a junior doctor, working as a GP trainee, a day in the life vlogs, motherhood, more insight into working as a doctor in terms of finances and maternity leave and that kind of stuff. So I'd love to have you as a viewer if you haven't subscribed already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.